Let's get right into it. 12. You know their schedule better than they do. Picture this. It's 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're sitting there knowing exactly when your crush gets their afternoon coffee, which route they take to work, and what time they usually post on social media. Meanwhile, you can't remember when you last did laundry or paid your electric bill. Your brain has basically become a human GPS tracker, except instead of helping people find Starbucks, it's cataloging someone else's entire existence. Here's the thing about obsession versus love. Love wants to know about someone because you care about their well-being and want to connect. Obsession wants to know about someone because your brain has decided this person is the solution to all your problems, and if you just collect enough data points, you can somehow control the outcome. It's like your mind thinks relationships work like a video game, where if you memorize all the patterns, you'll unlock the secret love level. The creepy part is, you probably don't even realize you're doing it. Your subconscious has turned into a private investigator, and you're the client who forgot they hired one. Congratulations, you've basically become a stalker with a really good excuse. 11. They're your only source of happiness. Ever notice how some people treat their romantic interest like a human antidepressant? One text from them, and you're walking on sunshine. No response for 3 hours, and suddenly you're questioning your entire life's purpose. Your emotional state has become so dependent on another person that you're basically a mood ring, except instead of changing colors, you're changing your entire personality based on someone else's availability. Real love adds to your happiness. It doesn't become your only source of it. When you're obsessed, though, your brain tricks you into thinking this person is literally the only thing standing between you and eternal misery. It's like your mind decided to put all your emotional eggs in one very fragile basket, then handed that basket to someone who has no idea they're carrying your entire sense of worthwhile. Spoiler alert, that's not romantic. That's exhausting for everyone involved. 10. You've planned your wedding and they don't know you exist. Some people meet someone attractive and think, I'd like to get to know them better. Obsessed people meet someone attractive and immediately start planning matching Halloween costumes for the next 5 years. You've already decided what your kids will be named, where you'll honeymoon, and how you'll decorate your shared apartment. Meanwhile, this person still doesn't know your last name and thinks you're that person who always shows up places. This is your brain's way of trying to create certainty in an uncertain situation. Instead of dealing with the uncomfortable reality that relationships take time, mutual interest, and actual conversation, your mind just skips ahead to the fantasy ending. It's like reading the last page of a book first, except the book hasn't been written yet, and you don't even know the author knows you exist. The psychology behind this is actually fascinating. When we're anxious about outcomes, our brains sometimes create elaborate fantasies to give us a sense of control. Too bad reality doesn't care about your mental vision board. Your imaginary relationship might be perfect, but it's still imaginary. 9. You analyze every interaction like a CSI episode. Normal people have a conversation and move on with their day. You have a conversation and then spend the next 6 hours dissecting every word choice, facial expression, and pause like you're trying to solve a murder. They said see you later instead of see you soon. What does that mean? Meanwhile, they probably just said whatever words came out of their mouth first because that's how normal human communication works. Love involves healthy curiosity about someone's thoughts and feelings. Obsession involves turning every casual interaction into a conspiracy theory. Your brain becomes like a detective convinced that every piece of evidence points to some grand romantic revelation when really sometimes a simple "how's your day" is just someone being polite, not secretly confessing their undying devotion. The weird part is how exhausting this must be for your poor, overworked mind. You're basically running a full-time investigation unit dedicated to one person's potential feelings, and the case file keeps growing but never actually gets solved. Sherlock Holmes would be impressed by your dedication and concerned about your mental health. 8. You've memorized their social media like scripture. Facebook Memories has nothing on you. You remember exactly what they posted 3 months ago, what they wore in that Instagram story from last week, and you could probably recreate their entire photo timeline from memory. You know their friends' names, their pet's birthday, and their favorite coffee shop based entirely on background details in selfies. At this point, you could probably write their biography better than they could. This isn't just casual interest. This is archaeological-level social media excavation. Love makes you curious about someone's life. Obsession makes you study their digital footprint like you're preparing for the world's most specific trivia contest. Your brain has decided that if you just analyze enough posts, stories, and tagged photos, you'll crack the code to winning their heart. But here's the reality check. Spending 3 hours studying someone's Instagram isn't getting to know them, it's getting to know their personal brand. You're basically falling in love with someone's highlight reel while convincing yourself you understand their whole movie. Plot twist, you don't. 7. You change yourself to match their interests. Suddenly, you're really into hiking, even though your idea of outdoor activity used to be walking to your mailbox. They mentioned loving jazz music once, so now you're pretending to have opinions about Miles Davis when your Spotify history is 90% pop songs and true crime podcasts. You've become a human chameleon, changing colors to match whatever you think they want to see. This shape-shifting behavior happens because obsession convinces you that you're not enough as you are, that if you just become the perfect version of what you think they want, they'll obviously fall madly in love with you. Your brain has decided that authenticity is overrated, and strategic personality modification is the way to go. It's like method acting, except the role you're playing is person worthy of love, and you've forgotten your actual lines. The psychology here is pretty sad, actually. Obsession often stems from low self-worth, so instead of believing someone could like the real you, you create a fake you designed to be irresistible. Unfortunately, relationships built on pretending to be someone else tend to collapse faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. 6. You create problems just to solve them. Your brain has become a drama generator, manufacturing crises and conflicts where none exist just so you can swoop in and be the hero. They mentioned being stressed about work, and suddenly you're researching solutions to problems they never asked you to solve. You notice they seem tired, so you start planning elaborate schemes to cheer them up, even though they just need a nap and you're basically a stranger offering unsolicited life coaching. This is obsession's sneaky way of creating artificial intimacy and importance. If you can position yourself as the solution to their problems, surely they'll realize you're meant to be together, right? Wrong. You're basically playing relationship chess while they're just trying to live their life. Your mind has convinced you that being helpful equals being essential, when really it just equals being overwhelming. Love offers support when asked and respects boundaries when declined. Obsession sees every minor inconvenience in someone's life as an opportunity to prove your worth. The result? You become that person who treats every casual complaint like a mission from God to save the day. 5. You interpret politeness as secret signals. They smiled at you while saying thanks for holding the door, and your brain immediately starts writing fan fiction about this obviously meaningful moment. They remembered your name. Clearly, this is a sign of deep personal interest and not just basic human courtesy. You've become a master at reading romantic significance into completely normal social interactions, like a fortune teller but for mundane pleasantries. This happens because obsession makes you desperately want reciprocation, so your mind starts seeing it everywhere, even where it doesn't exist. Your brain becomes like a conspiracy theorist, but instead of seeing government cover-ups, you're seeing romantic potential in every casual conversation. They asked how my weekend was. They're obviously fishing for personal information because they care about me specifically. The reality is that most people are just naturally friendly, and confusing politeness with romantic interest is a fast track to misreading every single social cue. You're basically playing a game where the rules exist only in your head. And spoiler alert, you're the only one playing. 4. You panic when they're unavailable. They don't respond to your text for 2 hours, and suddenly you're spiraling through 17 different worst-case scenarios. Maybe they're mad at you. Maybe they found someone else. Maybe they've decided you're annoying and are actively avoiding you. Or maybe, and stay with me here, they're just busy living their life like a normal human being who doesn't check their phone every 30 seconds. This panic response happens because obsession creates artificial urgency around everything. When you're genuinely in love, someone being temporarily unavailable is just part of life. When you're obsessed, their unavailability feels like a personal emergency that requires immediate investigation and resolution. Your nervous system treats a delayed text response like a 5-alarm fire. The psychology behind this is your attachment system going haywire. Instead of feeling securely connected, you're constantly in fight-or-flight mode, treating every moment of separation like abandonment. Your brain has basically confused healthy relationship with 24/7 availability, which is exhausting for everyone and sustainable for no one. 3. You justify red flags as quirks. They show up at your workplace uninvited? How spontaneous and romantic. They get jealous when you talk to other people? They just care so much. They go through your phone? They're just being protective. You've become a master of mental gymnastics, turning concerning behavior into evidence of deep affection. Your brain has appointed itself as the defense attorney for someone's problematic actions, and it's working overtime to avoid a guilty verdict. This rationalization happens because admitting someone's behavior is unhealthy would mean confronting the uncomfortable reality that your perfect fantasy relationship might actually be kinda toxic. So instead, your mind creates elaborate explanations for why controlling behavior is actually sweet, why possessiveness equals love, and why boundary violations are just signs of passion. Love involves mutual respect and healthy boundaries. Obsession involves convincing yourself that red flags are actually just festive decorating choices. Plot twist: when someone shows you who they are through their actions, believe them the first time, not the story your brain makes up to excuse it. 2. You've lost interest in everything else. Remember when you had hobbies, friends, a life outside of analyzing this one person's every move? Yeah, obsession has a funny way of making everything else in your world fade to background noise. Your interests, goals, and relationships have all taken a back seat to your full-time job of being romantically fixated on someone. You've basically become a one-person fan club with no other interests or activities. This tunnel vision happens because obsession tricks your brain into thinking this person is the most important thing in existence, more important than your career, your friendships, your personal growth, or your mental health. Your mind has decided to put all your eggs in one romantic basket and then guard that basket like your life depends on it, which ironically makes you less interesting and more overwhelming to be around. Healthy love enhances your life and encourages you to be the best version of yourself. Obsession replaces your life and turns you into a shell of yourself whose only personality trait is being really, really interested in someone who probably wishes you develop some other hobbies. 1. You can't imagine life without them, but you barely know them. Here's the ultimate obsession red flag. You've convinced yourself that this person is absolutely essential to your happiness and well-being, despite the fact that you've maybe had 12 actual conversations and most of what you know about them comes from social media stalking and wishful thinking. Your brain has somehow decided that someone you barely know is the missing piece of your life puzzle, which is like declaring someone your best friend after reading their name tag. This happens because obsession creates the illusion of deep connection without the actual foundation of real intimacy. Your mind fills in all the gaps with fantasy, assumptions, and projections, creating a whole relationship that exists primarily in your imagination. You're not falling in love with a real person, you're falling in love with your idea of a person, which is basically emotional fan fiction. The scariest part? You genuinely believe this imaginary connection is real and necessary for your survival. You've essentially become emotionally dependent on a relationship that doesn't actually exist, which is like being homesick for a place you've never been. Congratulations, you've successfully confused obsession with love, and your heart is writing checks your reality can't cash. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you don't want to miss them.